Yeah. With my life on the line, I dread it out. Through the ups and downs, falling out, to coming back like I took a charge. That I end up at it till I meet the Lord. I believe in God, but I doubt it's yours. That don't make me foreign.
What's your name?
Alan Fieldhouse.
What's the best way to describe your fan base?
My fan base is kind of a mixed group of people. I have different fan bases in different areas just based off of other artists that I've worked with mostly, because when I got into it, I was relatively unknown, and I'm still an underground artist, but working with the people that I've been able to work with have given me the opportunity to branch out and gain new fans. Through the people that I've worked with, like Madchild and Slain, C-Lance as a producer, I've been able to gain fans more out of my region. Like before, I was a regional artist and it was mostly Midwest, and that allowed me to gain fans mostly in Canada. Like I've been able to grab a lot of fans out of Canada and overseas, and it's kind of cool to see. Even though like I would love to have the same success I have overseas in America, I'm very humbled by other people in foreign places able to relate to me, even though we come from different cultures, you know. I think it's kind of cool.
What's it like being a rapper in a part of the country not really known nationally for producing rap artists?
It's an uphill battle because you live in a Bible Belt where everybody expects you to do the 9 to 5 or go to school or get a regular job. And then on top of that, there's not a lot of big cities where I'm at. Like there's a couple cities, but then other than that, outside of those cities, it's all rural. So when you tell somebody you do music where I'm from, they almost look at you like you're crazy. But whenever I travel to the West Coast or the East Coast, they take you more serious because it's more acceptable there. It's obtainable, but where I'm from, it's not really obtainable. They feel like you're just supposed to be a regular person. You're supposed to be the guy next door, you know? Just go to school, do your thing, support your kids, raise a family. They don't accept you until you get on somewhere else, then come back, and then they're all about you. And now I get more support from the local people than before.
How long have you been an MC?
Professionally, I've been a working artist since I was 23, 24, but I've been writing music ever since I was in 3rd grade. Like I've been writing rhymes, music, like songs, right. I taught myself how to write songs. I didn't even know how to count bars until I was like 21. Like I just wrote stuff, and then when it felt right to stop, and it stopped on 16, I just didn't know how to count it. I just knew how to format a song and make it work. Back then though, this is gonna make me sound super old, but back then I would hit the tape recorder and listen to a line and then write down the artist I was listening to, whoever. I would write down their lyrics, pause it again after I'd listen to another line, write down their lyrics, and I would study it, and then I would format songs based on their blueprint, and I would write out songs.
Who are you inspired by?
I was inspired by my mom, man. Like I was inspired by growing up, oldies rock on the radio, blaring throughout the house as she cleaned. It was just something. It's a very fond memory of mine. You're gonna listen to them try to capture a feeling with lyrics, and I tried to incorporate that into hip hop to where you can almost have timeless music in a different way. But oldies rock and roll, that's what inspires me. Yeah.
Do you remember the first verse you ever wrote?
Man, I don't. But I know it was probably something stupid. It was probably some shit where I was trying to be somebody. I was probably emulating somebody, honestly, to tell you the truth. My first verse was probably total shit. I don't want to remember. No, but I used to. But I'm glad I grew up and I don't make dumb shit like that no more. It's crazy.
Have you ever had any other aliases?
The first rap name ever given to me, I've never had a rap name that I made up myself. I always had my rap names given to me. So I never went around calling myself like Lil Murder or some shit. I always had it given, but the first one, a dude called me Ryu, and it was in the 90s, and it was an acronym for ripping it up, because I used to spit really fast. I used to flip flow all the time, because that was the thing in the Midwest. You know, you grew up on Twista and Bone Thugs and Harmony, so you just naturally started spazzing out when you rapped, and now I slowed everything down, learned how to pronounce my words better. It's a better vibe.
How did you come up with the name Fieldhouse?
Fieldhouse was given to me when I was doing a show in Lawrence, Kansas. We were opening up for Digital Underground. I was like 15 years old. And back then, my duties, I was a roadie, and I was just begging for time pretty much. Like when they would get their costume changed, like, cause the group that I was a roadie for, every song they had a different costume. They would come out, they had a mascot, and which, you know, gave them a perfect fit for touring with Digital Underground. But the DJ would open it up and invite people on stage, and he would have me come out, this little puny white boy at 15, and I would go and just kill everybody. And then I started battle rapping. I just like annihilated 6 people on stage, and the dude named Bud, he came up, he was part of the group, and he was like, I'm gonna call you Alan Fieldhouse, because you had that shit rocking like Jayhawk Stadium, like Fieldhouse Arena. So I was like, okay, cool, and it just stuck. Ever since then, everybody just called me Fieldhouse. And then there was a year heavy where I just wore myself down. I was on the road all the time.
Being from the middle of the country, do you identify more with East Coast, Southern, or West Coast hip-hop?
My first love was East Coast hip-hop. The lyricism in East Coast hip-hop is insane. Like, I used to love EPMD, and then I know it's like cliche to say Rakim, but I used to dig Rakim. And then the first artist that I really got into was Busta Rhymes, because he had that flip flow, but he was lyrical, and I related to it, because coming from the Midwest where they all flip flowed, and then you had this dude from the East Coast that just took the lyrics to a whole nother level, and he did it in his own way. And his videos were insane. If I had one person that I could probably work with out of anybody, it would be Busta Rhymes. Like, I would love to work with Busta Rhymes.
Do you feel Midwest hip-hop is its own genre? Why do you feel like it's left out when regional hip-hop is brought up?
I do think that it's got its own sound. Because, I mean, as we've been talking, you know, my influences, like the Twista and the Bone Thugs, it's a flip flow sound, though. I think Midwest gets branded as a fast rapping region. But in all honesty, it's kind of like a melting pot. Like, the South has their thing, and the West Coast has their thing, and the East Coast has their thing, and then the Midwest seems like all the people that migrated there. So it's a melting pot of all these people that migrated from the coast, and then we all kind of, it's weird. I don't think any rappers really broke out, though, from where I'm from, to give my state a sound. I think the first person that has a huge song or gains enough steam, that will be the sound from my state. It's a really weird environment, because the hip-hop community is not huge there, but the ones that are there, they all come from different places, like Mississippi or New Orleans, or, you know, West Coast or East Coast. Then there's a lot of motherfuckers that lie to you and say they're from somewhere else, and they're just embarrassed being from where they're from. I do feel it's left out. It's not a concern of mine, though. Like, I don't look at as being, oh, the Midwest has to have their own sound, or my state has to have their own sound. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that just other places are so established, and they have clout, and they're the pioneers of it, to where anything that comes from where I'm at, it's gonna be inspired by that. So it's gonna be inspired by the coast. It's gonna be inspired by the places that already made it happen. So I mean, shit, I don't give a fuck. I just like being a part of hip-hop in general. It's something that I fall in love with music every time. Again, that every time I make a really good song that I feel, then it just makes me fall in love with it again. So I don't really care about titles or clout or regional success or anything, if it's got its own sound or not.
What was your favorite collaboration?
Favorite collab is by far Slang. And he was like, if you're good, you know, I don't just work with anybody. And I sent him my stuff, and then he hit me back, and I was kind of just blown away because I've done tracks with Ray J and other artists like Chip the Ripper and stuff, and I've worked with amazing producers. Like my first album when I was on an indie deal, I worked with Ari Levine, and that's Bruno Mars' producer. And I was blown away by that, but what touched me the most was how humble Slam was. And that speaks more volumes than anything, and the dude's already one of my top MCs that I listen to. He's just open arms. I can't thank that dude enough for that. I think that's a quality that you don't see a lot in hip hop. So I don't know. I appreciate that. So that's probably gonna be my favorite collab ever. The first track we ever did was a track called Schizo. And then after that, I think I've done 3 or 4. He's on my album pretty heavy. He's the most featured artist on my album because I just dig working with him. So I repeatedly work with that dude.
You should give out his number and his email.
Fuck that. I ain't never gonna talk to you again. That's one way to burn a bridge, dude.
What did you do before hip hop?
My first job was a dishwasher at a barbecue joint. And then actually my first job was a telemarketer. I used to answer phone or call people up and harass them. I bought my first pair of shoes doing that shit because I was always too broke to get the good shoes. My first pair of shoes that I bought, first check I got, I went and copped them too. There were some Allen Iversons. I just fucking loved them. That was my first. I spent $122 on those shoes. Still remember that shit. First check, $122. Went and bought my Iversons. I was all about it. Blew my whole fucking check. Couldn't even eat. Part-time telemarketer, ain't that some shit? Getting cussed out by old people. Would you be interested in applying for a fucking outrageous interest rate credit card?
Were you good at it?
Nah. I sucked at that shit.
What is your writing style? Do you come up with concepts and then choose the beat, or does the beat help choose your concept?
Before, I changed my writing style. Before, I would always write because I felt like it limited me writing to a beat. And then I would try to force it and match it up with a beat. But now I get a beat and it inspires me, and then I'll kind of get a visual in my head of it. And if I can picture a video to it and how the video goes, then I'll start writing the song. And then it'll give me the, you know, if it's like about a bank heist or about, you know, whatever the entertainment may be for the song, what it makes me feel. And then that's how I go about it. But I'll write like 6 songs at a time. I'll get bored of one, or I'll get like writer's block on one, and then I'll bounce to another, then I'll bounce back to that, and then I'll bounce to this one. So I like to write multiple songs at a time because then it won't burn me out on one, and I won't. But then you gotta watch repeating yourself, because then you'll start using the same words that you're using in that song and this one. It's tricky, but that's how I like doing it. Writing multiple songs at a time so I can keep my thoughts fresh on them.
When and where do you normally like to write?
Right, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, quiet, down in my basement, or in the car, in my room or something, you know, just by myself, no noise, just collecting my thoughts when everybody else is sleeping. I'm working. I like that. There's a kind of special grind to it. It feels like that when everybody else is sleeping, I'm on my shit. I'm taking care of my stuff, and I don't have anybody bothering me.
You seem to spend a lot of time on the West Coast. Would you ever move to California?
I've thought about that a lot. But the thing is, like, I'm still, from where I'm from, I like the pace of things there. I think it's really cool to be able to leave and go to a faster paced city and do those kind of things, but then come back and kind of gain my head back and collect my thoughts on my experiences, and then just fly out and do it again. And plus, I mean, there's a special place in my heart for where I'm from. Like, I love it. I don't necessarily like all the people there, but I love where I'm from. I love the culture of it and what I've been brought up in.
How did you link up with Mad Child and Back Squad?
That was actually through Slane too, because Slane worked with Mad Child, and I had listened to Dope Sick. I remember Mad Child released Dope Sick, and I was bumping it for like 2 weeks straight. And I liked the dude's creativity, how I came from, like Canada, and he was this underground artist out of Canada, because all I heard from Canada was like Justin Bieber and Drake. You know, I never even realized they had such a blossoming underground hip hop scene. Slane hooked it up, and then I went out there and shot a video with Mad Child, and we got to talking and everything, and he was like, yo, you should do this backstory shit with me, and I was all for it. I didn't really have a platform to even get music out to anybody, and he offered me a platform to get it to his fan base and be a part of something to have people embrace my music. So I went at it full steam ahead. I was like, shit.
Who's an artist you could see yourself collaborating with in the future?
I could see myself probably collaborating with Be Real. I've talked about that before with a friend of mine, but I don't know. I mean, I could see it happening, but I don't know how possible it is. But I would love for that to happen. To get on a record with Be Real, fucking nuts.
What's the best way to describe your style and sound?
My own. I don't think I sound like anybody. I've gotten that I look like Paul Wall here and there, but I'm like, what the fuck ever. But my sound, I've worked really hard on honing in on my own sound. Raspy. From the heart, I guess. I try to make my music very authentic. I don't go out talking about killing a whole bunch of people or selling a whole bunch of dope.
What is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I probably cast off rugged persona, or like a not approachable persona, but I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I feel like I'm genuinely a kind-hearted person, and I don't think a lot of people would realize that about me.
In your eyes, who's the greatest of all time?
Oh man, it's so hard to say that because there's so many different lanes. Tom Petty. I ain't even gonna go with rap. Fuck that. Tom Petty. Tom Petty makes me smile when I hear his music.
What can we expect from Fieldhouse in the future?
I'm actually dropping my EP. I spent the last 3 years working on an EP. It's a fun journey. It's allowed me to travel and see things that I've never been able to see before because of music. I have an independent film that I just got done shooting for. I'm a part of that. Gonna be printing up some merch as soon as I put out the EP, and then I'll probably go on tour. You look me up on YouTube under Fieldhouse, or you can look me up on Google Play Store, iTunes. Just look up my music. Any song that you like, you can go and check it out and copy it. You can find me on Instagram at Fieldhouse1, on Facebook, Twitter. I don't use my Twitter too much. I'm socially awkward when it comes to social media. But on Facebook, Alan Fieldhouse, or Fieldhouse is my fan page.
We get like just a I'm out of here type thing.
Like that. I'm out of here.
Yeah.